Welcome to Culture Compass. I'm Alex, and today we're exploring cultural shocks between Brazil and the US, those moments that make you pause. Joining me is our expert, Sarah, to help us navigate these differences. Welcome.
Thanks, Alex. Great to be here. Cultural shock is real, but also a fantastic learning opportunity, especially for English learners. Brazil and the US offer rich comparisons, and I'm excited to dive in.
Absolutely. We'll focus on meal times, tipping, and greetings. Let's start with eating. Sarah, how do meal times compare between Brazil and the US?
Good starting point. In Brazil, dinner happens much later. While the US typically eats between 6–7:30 p.m., Brazilians might start closer to 8 or 9 p.m. It's a more relaxed, extended social affair, not just a quick meal.
So later, more drawn-out dinners in Brazil. What about lunch?
Lunch is also different. In Brazil, it's often the main meal, a substantial break of an hour or more, especially in work environments. Unlike quick US desk lunches, Brazilians prioritize a sit-down meal. Expect longer lunch breaks. It's cultural.
Meal times in Brazil are social, whereas the US prioritizes efficiency. Good to know.
Exactly. Adjusting expectations is key. Finding dinner at 5 p.m. in Brazil is tough, unlike the US, where it's normal for early bird specials.
Let's move to tipping. It varies wildly. How does it compare between Brazil and the US? The US has a strong tipping culture, right?
It certainly does, Alex. US tipping is robust and complex. It's universally expected in service industries, forming a significant part of workers' wages. Waitstaff, bartenders, stylists. Standard for good restaurant service is 15–20%. It's considered necessary for a server's living wage, not just a bonus.
So, vital compensation. And Brazil?
Very different. While some tipping exists, it's less pervasive. Many Brazilian restaurants automatically add a 10% service charge, os 10%. This covers service. If 10% is added, you've tipped. No strong expectation to add more, unlike the US, where 10% would be low.
A crucial distinction. Automatic service charge means less guesswork.
Precisely. Beyond restaurants, tipping in Brazil is far less common. No need to tip taxi drivers significantly, just round up. For salons, tips aren't ingrained. An extra tip is a generous bonus, not mandatory. So, an American might overtip, while a Brazilian might undertip in the US, a classic cultural shock.
Tricky nuances around money. Understanding Brazil's 10% service charge prevents overspending or unintentional disrespect.
Absolutely. Grasping these differences is key for English learners. It's about social cues, not just words.
Right. Now to greetings. They set the tone for interaction, involving physical contact and personal space. How do greetings differ between Brazil and the US?
A major cultural shock. In Brazil, greetings are much warmer, more tactile, involving more physical contact. Women greeting women or men commonly exchange a kiss on the cheek, sometimes one, sometimes two, regionally. It's a genuine expression of warmth. Unlike the US, where touching a stranger's cheek might be intrusive, in Brazil, not offering a cheek kiss can seem cold.
So, a cheek kiss is the norm. What about men?
Men greeting men usually involve a firm handshake, often with a pat on the back or a brief hug, especially if they know each other. It's closer than the typical American handshake, which maintains more personal space. Whereas Americans prefer distance, Brazilians are accustomed to closer proximity. An American might step back, while a Brazilian steps forward, creating an almost comical dance.
That comical dance observation is great. US handshakes are predominant. Personal space is valued, especially initially.
Absolutely. In the US, handshakes are standard for initial encounters. Hugs are for close friends. Cheek kisses are rare. A Brazilian might find American greetings formal or distant. Conversely, an American in Brazil might feel overwhelmed by the physical contact. It's a fascinating cultural clash.
Great overview, Sarah. We've covered meal times, tipping, and greetings. Understanding these nuances is crucial for anyone engaging with Brazilian or American culture.
Absolutely, Alex. These are different ways of doing things. Learning about them improves language skills and empathy. It helps anticipate situations, avoid misunderstandings, and connect. Adapting, even if awkward, enriches your experience.
Fantastic. And before we wrap up Culture Compass, Sarah has a short glossary for key terms to solidify your understanding.
That's right. Here are a few terms that might be new or important to review. Cultural shock. the feeling of disorientation experienced by someone when they are suddenly subjected to an unfamiliar culture, way of life, or set of attitudes. Customs, traditional and widely accepted ways of behavior or doing something specific to a particular society, place, or time. Etiquette, the customary code of polite behavior in society or among members of a particular profession or group. Navigate, to plan and direct the route or course of a journey. In a cultural context, it means to understand and deal with new situations or complexities. Nuance, a subtle difference in or shade of meaning, expression, or sound. Social cues, verbal or nonverbal signals that guide behavior in a social setting. Service charge, an additional charge assessed for a service, often automatically added to a bill, especially in restaurants. Gratuity, a sum of money given voluntarily to someone for a service rendered, another term for a tip. Personal space, the physical space immediately surrounding someone which they regard as psychologically theirs, and into which intrusion by others is felt to be an invasion or threatening. Pervasive, especially of an unwelcome influence or physical effect, spreading widely throughout an area or a group of people. Ingrained, of a habit, belief, or attitude deeply fixed or established. Tactile, of or connected with the sense of touch, designed to be perceived by touch. And there you have it. Hopefully these definitions help clarify some of our discussion points.
Thank you, Sarah, for your expertise. And thank you, listeners, for joining Culture Compass. Keep exploring, learning, and bridging those gaps. We'll be back next week. Bye for now.
Goodbye, everyone.
Welcome back to Career Compass, your guide to navigating the professional world. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most nerve-wracking parts of job searching, the interview. You know, that moment when you're under the spotlight, trying to make the best impression possible. First impressions, especially in an interview, they are absolutely crucial, aren't they? And getting that tone right, that formal yet approachable tone, can truly set you apart. I'm so excited to explore some common interview questions with our resident business English coach today. We'll be breaking down how to answer them effectively, making sure you sound professional and polished. Let's jump right in, shall we? You've landed the interview, and now it's time to shine. The pressure is on, and the first few minutes can really dictate the entire interview's trajectory. What's your take on the significance of these initial interactions? And how important is it to maintain a certain level of formality without sounding stiff?
Absolutely. It's everything. Think of it like this. The first impression is often the lasting impression. Interviewers form opinions very quickly, often within the first minute or two. So getting that opening right, projecting confidence and professionalism, is paramount. You want to convey that you're serious about the role and that you understand the professional environment. It's not about being rigid, but about showing respect for the process and the company. And that leads us perfectly into perhaps the most common opening question, the one that often catches people off guard if they haven't prepared. Tell me about yourself. It seems so simple, right? But it's a huge opportunity or a major pitfall. Many candidates stumble because they either don't know what to share or they share too much of the wrong kind of information. Let's look at an example of what not to do first, just to really highlight the contrast. Imagine someone starts off like this.
Oh, I'm eager to hear this. I bet we've all made this mistake at some point, trying to connect on a personal level a bit too soon, or maybe just feeling unsure of what an interviewer truly wants to hear in that moment. So what would a weaker, more informal answer sound like for "tell me about yourself"?
Right, so a weak, informal answer might go something like this. Well, I grew up in a small town and I've always loved animals. My first job was at a pet store, and honestly, I really just fell into marketing because my friend was doing it and it seemed interesting enough at the time. I like to travel a lot and I spend my weekends hiking with my dog. I'm really looking for a job that's not too stressful, something where I can have a good work-life balance and maybe take off early on Fridays sometimes to beat the traffic. I'm a pretty relaxed person and I just want to find a place where I fit in and don't have to work super long hours. You can see the issues immediately, right? It's too personal, it lacks focus on career aspirations aligned with the job, and it uses very informal language. It completely misses the mark on demonstrating professional drive or relevance.
Yeah, that definitely paints a picture, but probably not the one you want to convey in a job interview. It sounds like they're looking for a comfortable hobby, not a challenging career. The focus is entirely on personal preferences rather than professional capabilities. So, how do we flip that? What would a strong professional example answer to tell me about yourself sound like? One that really highlights your professional self.
Excellent question. A strong professional answer would completely reframe that narrative. It should be concise, relevant, and highlight your career journey and aspirations. Here's a good example. Certainly, I've always been driven by the intersection of innovation and practical application, which led me to specialize in digital marketing strategy over the past 5 years. My track record includes successfully implementing data-driven campaigns that consistently exceeded KPIs by an average of 15% in my previous role at Tech Solutions Inc. I spearheaded a project to completely overhaul their social media presence, which resulted in a 40% in engagement. Prior to that, I developed robust content strategies at Marketing Dynamics, where I was responsible for managing a diverse portfolio of clients, ensuring their brand messaging resonated effectively with target audiences. I'm particularly passionate about optimizing user experience through compelling digital narratives, and I'm now eager to apply my expertise in a dynamic environment like Company Name, focusing on their exciting new initiatives in specific area relevant to the job. My unique background in both analytics and creative content creation positions me well to contribute to your team's success. Now that's a completely different story, right? It's focused, it's professional, and it immediately demonstrates value.
Wow, what a difference. That answer is a masterclass in professional self-introduction. It's concise, yet packed with relevant information, and it smoothly transitions from past achievements to future aspirations. I especially noticed how you wove in some powerful action verbs and key professional terms. Could you break down for us why that second answer was so much more effective, and what specific vocabulary really made it shine?
Absolutely. The effectiveness comes from several key elements. Firstly, it follows a clear structure, a brief past, a relevant present, and a forward-looking future that connects directly to the role. It isn't just a chronological recounting, it's a strategic narrative. Secondly, the language is entirely professional. We use terms like track record, which immediately signals a history of proven success. I mentioned specialized in, indicating deep expertise. And the phrase my unique background helps to synthesize their experience into a compelling, relevant package, showing how their diverse skills align with the company's needs. We also integrated specific, strong action verbs that demonstrate impact and leadership, rather than just passive participation. These words convey energy and initiative. It's about showing, not just telling what you're capable of. It's also tailored, showing the candidate has researched the company and understands their current focus, which is crucial.
That's fantastic advice. Tailoring your answer, using impactful language, and connecting your experience to the company's needs, those are truly golden rules. Now, let's move on to another question that often makes candidates squirm a little. What is your greatest weakness? This one can feel like a trap, can't it? How do you answer this honestly without undermining your candidacy? It feels like walking a tightrope.
It absolutely does feel like a trap, and it's where many people either try to deflect, give a fake weakness that's actually a strength, like I work too hard, or they reveal something that genuinely concerns the interviewer. The key here is not to present a weakness without a solution. You want to show self-awareness, a growth mindset, and a proactive approach to self-improvement. We use what I call the weakness plus solution structure. You identify a genuine area for development, explain how you're actively working to overcome it, and crucially, you frame it in a way that doesn't hinder your ability to do this specific job. Here's a model answer that demonstrates this effectively.
Okay, I'm ready for the masterclass on turning a potential negative into a positive. Give us an example that truly embodies that weakness plus solution structure, something that feels authentic but also empowering.
All right, so here's a strong example for what is your greatest weakness? That's a great question, and I appreciate the opportunity to reflect on areas for growth. In the past, I've sometimes found that I tend to be overly critical of my own work, spending extra time refining details even when the project was already at a high standard. This sometimes led to me investing more time than necessary on certain tasks, slightly impacting my overall efficiency on occasion. However, I've recognized that while attention to detail is a strength, perfectionism can become a hindrance. To address this,
I've actively implemented a strategy of setting clear, realistic deadlines for each stage of a project, and regularly checking in with a trusted colleague or supervisor for early feedback. This helps me gain an objective perspective and understand when a project is truly ready to move forward. I've also been utilizing time management techniques like the Pomodoro method to ensure I allocate appropriate time to tasks and avoid getting bogged down in minor details. This approach has significantly improved my ability to deliver high-quality work efficiently, allowing me to focus on strategic execution without compromising on excellence. See, it's honest, but it immediately pivots to demonstrating initiative and improvement.
That's incredibly insightful. What a powerful way to frame a challenge. You acknowledged a real area for development, but then immediately showcased your proactive steps to mitigate it, and even implied how those steps led to better outcomes. It really highlights a growth mindset, which is so valuable to any employer. It shows you're reflective and capable of self-correction. That weakness plus solution model is truly brilliant. It shifts the narrative from merely confessing a flaw to demonstrating self-awareness and problem-solving skills, which are, ironically, strengths in themselves.
Exactly. That's precisely the point. It's not about pretending you don't have weaknesses, because everyone does. It's about demonstrating your capacity for self-improvement and showing that you can convert a potential vulnerability into an area of strength through deliberate effort. It also shows you understand the impact of your actions on productivity and team dynamics. By clearly outlining the steps you've taken, you're not just talking about it, you're showing a concrete plan, which is what interviewers really want to see. It transforms a potential negative into a testament to your professional development and commitment to excellence. It's a very strategic way to approach what can otherwise be a tricky question, ensuring you leave a positive and proactive impression.
That's fantastic. Before we wrap up today's insightful session, let's do a quick recap of some of those powerful action verbs we've discussed. Using these in your answers can really elevate your professional vocabulary and demonstrate strong capabilities. We heard some excellent ones today. Can you quickly list them out for our listeners just to cement them in their minds?
Of course, let's make sure our listeners have these in their toolkit. We talked about implemented for putting plans into action and seeing results. Spearheaded for leading initiatives and taking charge. Developed for creating new systems, programs, or content. Optimized for improving processes, efficiency, or performance. And finally, managed for successfully overseeing projects, teams, or